everybody, welcome back to another Star Wars review. Today I'm joined by one usual and one new person. So first,
Jonah Morgan.
And somebody new,
Caden Emerson.
And today we are going to be talking about the first of the prequel movies with the Phantom Menace.
Ooh.
Here's the thing about this movie. My opinion on this has changed for the better.
I've reformed him.
He has a little bit. It hasn't changed much, but it's changed enough.
At least it's changed.
Enough.
I'll take it as a win.
We'll start with the bad this time then.
Okay.
We'll do something different. We'll start with the bad.
Good. I feel like the bad kind of groups together. Because, like, the good things are very distinct.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
the bad is like, oh, terrible writing. Everyone sounds like a robot. But, you know,
it's
like,
a prequel movie.
Yeah, but, you know, it's like, okay, that's fair. Easy, you know. Anakin sucks. We all get that.
But I think the good...
Jar Jar sucks. But, like... You know,
that was one thing he said is he does not hate Jar Jar as much. But
we'll get him out of the way. We'll get him out of the way first. Jar Jar.
Jar Jar.
He actually on rewatch he had some funny moments.
The CGI is worse than I remember it being.
Oh God, yeah.
I'll say Jar Jar is terrible.
He's supposed to be
not
terrible.
as terrible as like
as people make him out to be, or even as people remember.
I respect the hustle. Like, hey, George Lucas needs to sell some toys.
He's supposed.
And he's like, here is the moneymaker.
Yeah, that's the thing is George Lucas did not make him with the thought of him being a well thought out character. He made him for the purpose, and he served the purpose that he was meant to. I think, but he's not the best character in the world. No,
he's not. But I don't think he's as bad as other people remember him.
No,
because he's not. He has some hilarious moments, honestly.
Most of them are just Qui-Gon hating him. That's his funny moments. Is Qui-Gon messes like
true.
Yeah.
I did not. Getting him out of the way. Anakin's not that great either, but even he isn't as bad as I remembered. He had some very bad line delivery, but he had some where I was like.
The thing is, you got to remember he's not even 10 years old yet.
That's not an excuse. Being a kid doesn't excuse you from being a bad actor.
Young Padme's annoying too.
Oh God, yeah.
She's just
I was about to get that. Her
she's
line
super
delivery
rude
is terrible.
for no reason, and it's just like also little confusing how she's like the queen and everything, and all this just confusing stuff. Like, why are we listening to her? Because I guess like by the end of the movie she looks older, but like she's like what 13.
Her character's supposed to be 14.
We look this up. Her Padme is 14. Anakin is 9.
Which is also gross. But also, like...
it could be much, much worse.
I thought
it's not good. Let's not settle for 5. Let's not be like, hey, it could be worse. It could be better.
It could easily be better, but...
But it's like, okay, so she's walking around saying to freaking Liam Neeson, yeah, we need to do this with the Gungans. This is how we're going to
She thinks she's smarter than Qui-Gon. Yeah, I'm sitting here like, no.
No.
That's not how that works.
And please, don't hear me talking bad about Natalie Portman. Never.
Ever.
Never.
He's not talking bad about Natalie Portman. He's talking bad about Padme.
But young Padme is written poorly and not portrayed well.
And I feel like this is a problem with how Natalie Portman was directed. Because I'm going to be flat out honest. She had some line delivery where I was like, ugh. But I don't blame it on her because she's a genuine. But this is also one of her first starting roles.
She was 16
when they filmed this. So it could easily just be like she's not the best actor here, but she gets a lot better in the other movie, and we will get to that.
In Revenge.
Did y'all like the pod racing?
I do.
That scene was pretty cool.
I do.
I like it, but I'm also kind of like...
The Tatooine part was not as slow as I
They're
remember.
on Tatooine a long time, but not as... Yeah, he said not as long as he remembers it being.
I don't think it helped for me, because when I was rewatching all these in preparation for Rise of Skywalker, I started watching this movie in Miss Imes' class.
Oh.
That did not help at all.
This movie is probably, as far as Star Wars movies go, this is probably the least amount of time that lightsabers are in a movie. Phantom Menace probably has the least lightsaber because they take it's more of a political movie than anything. Yeah. It's different. There's like all the pod racing, there's the political stuff. It's different, but like compared to like Attack of the Clones and especially Revenge of the Sith, there's so much more action in those movies, which I think the prequels does better. The originals, there's not that much lightsaber stuff in those, but that's because that's what they were.
It's limited by technology.
Yeah, the prequels, they're able to do the lightsabers a lot better, and towards the second, third one, they do.
I think as well. I think because Phantom Menace, the more you think about it, is very different from all the other movies. Like how you just said, just like, oh, very different. It's less action and more. It's a very more political world building.
Like the Trade Federation. And,
you got to remember too. Up until Phantom Menace, George Lucas is throwing out words like Jedi Council, Coruscant, Palpatine, this, that, and the other. You know, he's thrown out all these words, but there's never been like an actual depiction of
They're
them.
like, wait, Jedi Council.
So that was like a big reason why a lot of people hated the prequels at first, because they're like, I had this image in my head of what it was.
It's so much different.
And it's nothing like I predicted. But, I mean, that's George Lucas, you know, his kind of genius to make it
He's great.
how he did, so that now we can appreciate it. Like, you know, that was pretty good. That's a solid, that's a really good way to see it. But just like, he's like, all right, so this is the council, and then this is what Jedis are like. And, you know, maybe he went a little overboard. Like, I didn't need to know about midichlorians. I could have done without that.
Because they talk about it a lot in the prequels. They talk about midichlorians a lot.
It's just like...
It's what Jedi's hair look like when they're Padawans.
Yeah, and like, oh, I don't know. We could have, you know, had a little more sauce, a little more spice, but, you know, that's okay.
One thing that I'm more blamed for the theatrical version of this release, you know exactly what to get at. Yoda,
ooh.
he looked very different in the theatrical release. He looked like a puppet. He looked terrifying.
He's a puppet in the theatrical release. He looks like a gremlin.
Thankfully, when you watch on Disney Plus, where we watch it, he looks like how he does in Attack
He's
and
the
Revenge.
CGI, which looks so much better.
Goodness.
The puppet, it's got like human teeth and it's weird.
That was terrible. I mean, jumping to what we like.
Maul. Thanks. Thank you.
Jonah, you take the lead on this.
Okay, Darth Maul is my favorite character in any Star Wars movie ever. Star Wars TV shows, whatever the heck you want to talk about. I just ordered a Darth Maul lightsaber off eBay, for crying out loud.
He did.
I was hoping I was going to be able to have it for this video, but I don't. I'll have it for a later video. But Darth Maul, and especially for, you don't realize when you're watching the movie, but we were talking about this earlier, he says like 30 words and he has 6 minutes of screen time, but it feels like so much more because of how well he's portrayed and how good he is for that time that he's on screen. The guy that plays him, Ray Park, I'm pretty sure he does pretty much all of his stunts because he's a martial artist.
Yeah, he does all of the choreography.
He's so well portrayed that it feels like so much more than 6 minutes when he's on the screen. And that's why I loved like the later seasons of like Clone Wars, is because he's like the main character of those seasons pretty much.
Yeah.
But I loved Darth Maul, and he's
the Boba Fett of this trilogy. He's the character who has very little lines, very little screen time,
and then just automatically dies.
That, but it also becomes so popular.
Yes.
That they get like, it takes like outside media to give him.
Yeah, he was
stuff.
In movies. He was in only 6 minutes. Yet he's one of the most popular Star Wars characters there are, and he's my favorite.
6, technically about 7 if you count Solo.
7 if you count Solo. That was. He was in that movie because of how popular just how popular he was.
I forget he's in Solo. I'll be
exactly
honest.
And the main thing about Darth Maul is before Maul, you had never seen anyone with that double-bladed lightsaber. So when he sticks it out and the second blade comes out, people freaked out. My dad,
they can do that?
My dad said he remembers seeing it in theaters, and he said people like stood up and started clapping. It was awesome. I wish I would have been able to see that. But.
Yeah.
What's the next logical step to make lightsabers cooler?
4.
Double them. Just like, okay.
2.
And he pulls out this thing like, whoa, that's a stupid looking lightsaber. Why did you make it so long?
Because when you see it, he fights Qui-Gon first on Tatooine.
Jumping straight in, sort of tying into that, and just the fight scenes.
It's so good
in this movie and extended to the prequels in general. Some of the best choreographed fight scenes.
They're really good because of just the fact that Ray Park is doing all of his own stunts. The fact they make Darth Maul, as he should be, acrobatic. You see like Obi-Wan do this thing where he blocks Maul behind his back, then in front of him, like all within like a split second of each other. It's really fast. Yeah. It's really fast. So, unlike the originals where it's more slow.
But which like that is sort of like so it's more like fencing.
Yes.
Whereas here it's like all about the choreography.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We don't talk about the sequels.
That's one thing about like Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor, Ray Park, all those people is like, especially Hayden Christensen. They got so good at just lightsaber fight, and like they had Hayden Christensen because I forget what game they were like making. I forget what game it was, but they had him model the lightsaber attacks because they're like, we want to make sure it looks good.
It might have been a
and
Revenge
you're
of the Sith
like,
game.
yeah, it said you're the expert pretty much. And how to, so
You
it's,
are
he's like
him.
literally doing his stuff, and yeah.
Yeah, and Ewan McGregor was on a show recently, like on a talk show, like last year or something. He can still do a lot of the choreography because they practice it so much.
Yeah.
Another
love it.
thing. Ewan McGregor is Obi-Wan.
Ewan McGregor is so
Our Lord and Savior. You can't convince me otherwise. There was this behind the scenes. I know this is for like Revenge of the Sith, but there was this behind the scenes where Hayden Christensen like dropped his lightsaber and he just shouted, "Jesus Christ!" And then Ewan McGregor just goes, "That's a name I haven't heard in a long time." And and all the cast just starts laughing, but Hayden Christensen just gets on his knees and just like worshiping because he knew he was in the presence of our
because
Lord
in
and
Attack of the
Savior.
Clones, he's got like the Jesus hair going on.
Yeah.
But in this
It's so
movie,
hilarious.
Even though he's not as like, he's like a character. Well,
He's not that much.
He's not
the Obi-Wan that we come to know.
he's not a well-known actor either at this time. This is what made him well-known.
This was his claim to
and
fame.
he does great. That's all I can really say.
He's so good. And I mean, again, Qui-Gon as well.
Yeah, you can't understate Qui-Gon being. I'll say this: Qui-Gon's. I mean, Darth Maul, awesome, everything. Qui-Gon's one of the coolest people. Just period.
Yes,
I'm not saying he's my favorite. He's not this or that, but it's just like
he's one of
I'm a Jedi Master, but I'm not really like down with the whole hate everybody who's not a Jedi thing. So yeah,
he's one of
let me fix Anakin real quick. It's like because that's the whole thing. Like that George Lucas and Dave Filoni have said, if Qui-Gon lives, Anakin does not turn evil.
No,
because he's like,
100%.
Yeah, this awesome master who's like a father figure to me. I'm gonna grow up and I'm gonna be okay. But now, no, he's dead. I have all these insecurities.
He's one of the best.
He doesn't really have anybody to guide him with. The closest he has is Obi-Wan, and even then,
He's like a brother. It's not. He's like he needs a parental figure because he's losing his mom.
I'm ashamed to admit like how recent it was when I figured out that Qui-Gon was played by Liam Neeson. It was more recent than I'd like to admit.
How recent are we talking?
I think it was a couple years ago, but that's still because he looks so much different.
Because for me, when I watched the prequel when I was like young, I was like around like 11 or so. That was my first exposure to Liam Neeson as an actor.
Yeah, same.
Because you got like he looks so different with the long hair and the mustache. It took me a lot longer than it should have.
Now that I think about that, I think for a good amount of time, I knew Liam Neeson and I knew Qui-Gon
separately
as separate beings. Just like
you see Liam Neeson like the Taken movies, and he's got clean shaven.
You want to know a sad thing? Qui-Gon on his own, just in this one movie, he's not even in the entire movie, is a better character than every single sequel character combined.
Yeah,
that's.
Kylo's got cool moments.
He's cool.
Kylo's cool.
But Qui-Gon is like cool.
Qui-Gon is cool.
Finn could have been cool.
Could have been.
But they kind of dropped the ball.
We'll get to those.
They
did drop the ball.
CGI is a little rough sometimes.
The CGI can be a little rough.
But, that's forgivable. It's super old.
Because I was confused because on Jar Jar, it doesn't look great, but on Sebulba, it looks pretty good. The alien and the pottery, it looks pretty decent.
I think they do. I want to say they might, do more practical sometimes.
Right.
Because, I know
they do
lot
practical
of Jar Jar.
sometimes.
I know a lot of Jar Jar CGI. Because it's the guy, and he's wearing the thing, but they animate, the movement,
but he's still there.
Yeah. So he's there's a reference point and everything, and for lighting, but I don't know. I don't know. CGI is a little rough sometimes.
Yeah.
Pod race though,
I like it. It holds
well.
up well now. Yeah, I think so
for sure.
It's not Dune. That's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Now,
but
there's some scenes
it came out 15 years ago?
99.
Oh, it's older than all of us.
1999.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Which I didn't realize until I looked it up a couple days ago.
Another thing,
another
thing, sort of telling that which you brought up during the movie, that entire scene with the ships, and even just the ships in this movie.
Dude, the ships look really good. The Naboo starfighters are really cool.
Oh, that's my favorite ship.
Thank you. It's my favorite ship too. Let's
I
go.
can understand that completely.
And the
yeah,
and the ship that they fly around the entire time, the silver one, looks awesome. It's
so
cool.
yeah.
So cool.
And
The ship. That's always what Star Wars has done.
So like when I saw that in Mando, at first I thought it was Anakin's pod racer. I'll be straight because I just saw like the front things.
It is.
I thought too.
Because it's one of the engines.
And I was like, don't you dare tell me that's his pod racer.
But then it's just one of the engines.
then,
but they confirmed it is actually one of the real engines.
And then that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But then I was like, then they pulled back and I was like, oh. And side note, it's confirmed not Anakin's, the one that he flew in Phantom Menace. That ship.
Oh yeah.
It's not like there's like writing on the side, and it's like a different one.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you were talking about the speeder that you used in Mando. Yeah. I got you. Yeah.
But those ships,
they're sick.
Awesome.
So cool.
They're sick.
I didn't even know they had a hyperdrive in them.
They're up there. To me, they're up there with like my favorite ships are the Naboo starfighter, the Jedi starfighters that are in Revenge of the Sith.
Jedi starfighters,
yeah.
Those are cool, and then obviously X-wing.
I was about to say
X-Wing.
X-Wings are
I love a good B-wing. Those are sick. And
I love a good B-wing.
And well, I kind of break it down by different faction.
Maul's ship. I love Maul's ship.
That is a cool.
It looks like Vader from the back. It's got like the curved things.
You can tell they definitely like took some inspiration from Vader. Which in universe sort of makes it like Anakin took inspiration from.
That might have been what happened, yeah. But I don't know if he ever sees it or not. So.
I don't think so, but who knows? Well, you never know because
Palpatine still had the design of the ship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. What else do you guys have that you liked about this?
That I liked? Okay.
Because I don't.
Maybe we just get this out of the way.
Mm.
Well,
I'm scared.
John Williams.
Oh yes, I forgot.
What was he on? How much did they pay that?
He's like, all right, he's like, George Lucas is like, all right, we're making the theme song for the villain. Don't make it like too insane now. John Williams.
He says, so you said maximum overdrive?
And the song, once it starts, it plays like almost the rest of the movie. It plays that entire scene. Even when they're not showing the lightsaber duel, it's still playing in the background.
Duel of Fates is one of the best.
It's my favorite because I love Maul.
And John Williams, and that's not to diminish any of the other music.
That's the man,
especially
right
like the originals. Oh, gorgeous! Oh,
the droids theme song, the Separatist theme song, it's really good.
Yeah, all this stuff.
John Williams,
he just comes out for Phantom Menace like. I guess George Lucas was
different.
He said,
different.
"Hey, this is the first one of the trilogy. I need something good." And he said, "I got you."
And then we'll get to it later. But he does that in Revenge of the Sith.
And just and how the fight scene is perfectly choreographed with the music.
Yes,
and even if you take the music away, it's still the coolest thing you'll see for for another 2 movies.
It's just the fact that Duel of the Fates just adds on to it
because it starts out really really soft and then by the end whenever Qui-Gon gets stabbed, it's like really loud and I'm like, this is awesome.
And then it's like. Because it goes silent when it gets stabbed.
Yes, it goes silent, and then there's like a choir in the background that's singing one. There's a choir.
Spoiler alert, Qui-Gon gets stabbed. He gets shanked in the heart in front of all of us. We watch him die.
And we feel Ewan Mcgregor's pain.
And Liam Neeson actually dies on set.
Spoiler alert, Anakin's the father. And he turns evil. Sorry.
I do have 2 more things that I like. One, we have the introduction to Mace Windu.
My second favorite character in Star Wars.
Which I always found to be hilarious is like in Winter Soldier, Captain America has that notebook where he's like Star Trek / Star Wars, and I'm just thinking to myself,
wait, how's that going to work? Natalie Portman and Samuel L. Jackson.
And Natalie Portman.
Yeah, that's it.
I didn't hear. I was like, hold on, how's that going to work? But
wait,
he was great. And there's one more thing I have before at least I'm able to get to the ratings. You mentioned it before. The droids are
hilarious. They're so good. And then Clone Wars even takes the silly aspect of
Clone Wars I think dials up to 11 with how funny these clones.
But I think it makes sense because it's the TV shows. But you forget in the prequels they're still like comedic at times.
Oh yeah, they are.
And I think it's great.
We see why R2-D2 is so cool. He's just freaking. He's just like the Chad, just out there like, yeah, let me fix this under heavy fire. See if I can.
And I don't realize because the shot is coming from behind him. He turns and looks at the camera twice.
And he's just like,
did he just spank the camera?
He looks at the camera like, I'm the
No, because you see him run into Jar Jar whenever he's being deployed, and then you hear him like beeping, and you're like, wait a second, is that? And then he turns around, he's blue, and you're like, yes!
And also C-3PO.
Yes.
Because Anakin makes him.
Naked C-3PO.
Yeah. And he starts becoming more than the C-3PO that we know, because like in Attack of the Clones, you get silver, and then by Revenge of the Sith, he's gold.
Yep.
But, now the ratings. What would you rate this movie out of 10?
Out of 10?
Yeah.
Phantom Menace?
And why? Yep.
Let me do some mental calculations.
Yeah.
There are some rough parts.
Yeah.
There are, because it's not as solid as the originals.
No,
That's
definitely not.
Cannot claim that. Is it maybe? I'm going to try to take nostalgia away. No nostalgia.
Oh, that's tough.
I'm going to try. So just strictly watching it.
Okay, hold on.
That's a problem for you too.
Because that's one of the main reasons I love this movie.
I kind of want
so nostalgic.
I kind of want to break the rating into two.
Okay.
First half of the movie, I'd say like a 5 or a 6.
6. That's what I was
6. Second half, 9.5.
What's the average of those two together? Hold on.
So maybe altogether like a.
I'd say altogether 7.5.
It's like a 7.5 average.
Altogether 7.5.
That's solid. That's what I was.
Yeah. Because that second half just goes so hard and has no business doing so. Like everything post pod race, woo, just straight incline up and just like oh my goodness.
Yeah, for me, I've always been an advocate for this movie because I was advocating for this movie before we watched it just now. I would say I agree with Caden in the fact that the first half I think is like a 6, and then the second half a 9. I'll give it. Yeah, I think I'll say 7.5, maybe 8 because of Maul, but I'll go with 7.5.
Okay.
Because Maul is the reason that second half is one of the main reasons that second half is a 9. So I'll say 7.5. I'll agree with you.
So, if for me, because I do not praise this movie as much as they do. If this were before I had rewatched it, it probably would have been around like a 4 or 3.
I would have punched you in the face.
I would have thrown you in the room. It was like we just. Did you watch the same fight scene?
I would have kicked you out of this house.
Exactly, because again, on rewatch,
okay,
I actually had a lot more fun.
Careful
Watching this movie. So this is because
if it's lower than a 5, it's.
It won't be a 5.
Okay.
It won't be lower than a 5. Trust me.
Okay.
So there were still a lot of things that I still wasn't the biggest fan of about this movie. But
I feel like everyone that likes this movie is also not a fan of those things.
Yeah. But even still, just on rewatch, this movie was a lot more fun for me to watch. I didn't mind some of it, but like I didn't mind Jar Jar or even Anakin as much at times. They still had their moments.
Yeah.
But
they all do, yeah.
As a whole, I'm going to give this movie probably 6.5. Between that and the 7.
I won't be mad at it.
I was actually about to say.
I'm going to
I
stick
think
with
I want
6.5.
to drop mine to a 6.5. Because whenever I compare it to the other movies and how good they can be.
Exactly.
I feel weird saying, because 7.5 to me is like, this is, it's obviously better than, 5 like an average. 6 is like solid, a solid piece. 7's like, this is good. This is pretty good.
I'll go 7.
You go 7. I think you should go high.
I'll go 7. I'll go 7.
I'd say 7, 6.5. Because 7.5 is a little much.
I'm biased because
yeah. That was a little nostalgic.
I think I nostalgia.
I'll be honest. Yeah. Like that was a little much.
If I fully let nostalgia in, it would have been like an 8.
Yeah, full nostalgia. I'd call that a 9 right off the bat. Just like
10.
You know, little 8-year-old Caden sitting there with Grandpa watching Star Wars.
And I've only given one Star Wars movie a 10, and it was Empire. So
yeah. Well,
I
think you gave New Hope a 10 as well.
If I did drop that down to a 9.5, Empire's 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll drop it down to a 7. But that's still I'd say a solid score.
Yeah.
Because average, 5.
Because I would say I'd say it's the second best prequel. if
I can agree.
prequels, I go Clones, Phantom Menace, Revenge of the Sith.
I'll have to think about that one.
No,
I might differ on that, but I have to think about it.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I'll have to also rewatch Attack of the Clones too. But
yeah, that's just off of memory of Attack of the Clones.
Right.
And the memories are not all pleasant. I will say that. It's just like, oh, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's it.
Yep, I think that's gonna have to do it. So now that we're in the prequel, stay tuned for next time where we speak of Attack of the Clones, where we do Attack of the Clones.
And Logan will hopefully be.
Logan should hopefully be here for that as well. Hope y'all enjoy the review of Phantom Menace. Stay tuned for Attack of the Clones next time.
Woo!
Hopefully throughout most of these we'll start having more people, because again, Logan will hopefully be here, so it'll be 4 of us. Hopefully Taylor will be able to make it to. He's hoping to make it for Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Jackson Chapman as well for Revenge of the Sith.
Chapman.
But we'll see. So,
Jackson tells me to stop talking about Star Wars. If Jackson comes on here, Revenge of the Sith, and starts talking Star Wars, I'm gonna fight him. Cause I don't know how many times I've been like, hey Jackson, what do you think? And he goes, Caden, no one wants to talk about Star Wars that much. I said, maybe you don't. And like, I will on site. If that's the
Jackson,
vibe.
you have been challenged.
Jackson, tell me 5 things about Star Wars. Tell me any amount.
Spell Anakin.
Spell star, honestly. Like, I don't...
Why did this turn into a...
Because you said that caught me so off guard.
Leave it in. Leave it in the video.
I'm not even sure Jackson's seen all of them. Now that I'm thinking about it.
That's maybe not a bad thing.
Because he has literally come at me like... Because I'll be like... talking about this theory, he'll be like, Caden, I don't, like,
stop.
What are we doing? And like, maybe he's changed since working at the movie theater, but
maybe.
I don't.
Because he said he wanted to be in a couple.
Yeah, he said in the main reviews he said he wanted to be in. The main thing he said he wanted to be in was the Dark Knight trilogy.
Oh yeah, he'd rock that.
Yeah. Anyways, that's gonna do it. Stay tuned for Attack of the Clones. See y'all later, webheads.